Dr. Marcus Chen stared at the glowing message tablet in his quarters aboard the human colony ship Endeavour. The words seemed impossible even after reading them for the 5th time. The Zephyrian Empire had invited him to attend their most sacred ceremony. No human had ever been allowed to witness such an event. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes and looked out the small window at the planet below. Zephyr Prime sparkled like a giant jewel in space. Its surface was covered with crystal cities that changed color as the planet rotated. The Zephyrians had built their civilization around these living crystals over thousands of years. The invitation had come through official diplomatic channels. Ambassador Williams had delivered it personally, her face showing both excitement and worry. "This is huge, Marcus," she had said. "The Zephyrians are one of the oldest races in the galaxy. If we mess this up, it could damage relations for generations." Marcus understood the pressure. Humans had only joined the Galactic Federation 3 years ago. Most alien species still saw them as newcomers who needed to prove themselves. The Zephyrians had been particularly cautious about humans. Their first contact had gone well, but they kept their distance. That made this invitation even more surprising. The ceremony was called the Ritual of Celestial Bonding. Marcus had spent the last 2 weeks trying to understand what it meant. Zephyrian language was complex, mixing spoken words with patterns of light that came from their crystal-like skin. Even with translation software, many concepts remained unclear. From what Marcus could gather, the ritual happened once every few years. It involved the royal family and was considered deeply sacred. The fact that they wanted a human observer suggested they were ready to trust his species more. Marcus was the obvious choice for this honor. He had spent his entire career studying alien cultures. At 32, he already spoke 7 alien languages and had written the standard guide for human-alien diplomatic contact. More importantly, he genuinely respected other species and their customs. He walked to his desk and pulled out his research notes. Pages and pages of Zephyrian customs, history, and religious practices covered every surface. Marcus believed that understanding came through careful study. He had learned this lesson early in his career, when a simple misunderstanding nearly caused a diplomatic incident with the Centauri Republic. The Zephyrians valued respect above all else. Their society was built around harmony and proper behavior. Making a mistake during their sacred ceremony could be seen as a grave insult. Marcus could not let that happen. He picked up a small crystal from his desk. It was a gift from the Zephyrian ambassador, meant to help him understand their culture. When Marcus touched it, the crystal glowed softly and showed him images of Zephyrian daily life. He had spent hours watching these images, trying to understand their social patterns. Zephyrians were tall and graceful, with skin that looked like living crystal. Their emotions showed through color changes in their skin. Blue meant calm, green showed happiness, and red indicated strong feelings like anger or passion. They communicated as much through these colors as they did with words. The royal family was especially important in Zephyrian society. The king was seen as a link between the people and the cosmic forces that governed the universe. His daughter, Princess Lirelai, was known throughout the galaxy as a brilliant scientist. She studied other species and their biology. Marcus had read several of her research papers. Her work on cross-species communication was groundbreaking. She seemed particularly interested in human adaptation abilities. One paper discussed how humans could survive in environments that would kill most other species. The ceremony would take place in 3 days. Marcus had prepared carefully. He studied the proper greetings, learned the basic light pattern responses that humans could manage with special equipment, and selected gifts that showed human craftsmanship without being too flashy. His gift was a small wooden sculpture carved from earth oak. It showed 2 figures reaching toward each other across a gap, representing the bridge between species. Marcus had carved it himself during the long journey to Zephyr Prime. The wood was smooth and warm, very different from the cold crystal that Zephyrians preferred. Ambassador Williams visited him again that evening. "Are you ready for this, Marcus?" she asked, settling into the chair across from his desk. "As ready as I can be," Marcus replied. "I've studied everything available about their customs. The translation team has checked my prepared responses 3 times. I think I understand the basic protocol." Williams nodded but still looked worried. "Remember, you're representing all of humanity tomorrow. The Zephyrians have been watching us carefully since we joined the Federation. This ceremony could change how they see our entire species. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. It was not just about him anymore. Every human in the galaxy would be judged by his actions during this ceremony. The thought was both terrifying and motivating. "I won't let us down," he promised. That night Marcus could not sleep. He reviewed his notes one more time, practicing the light pattern responses with his equipment. The human-made devices were clumsy compared to natural Zephyrian abilities, but they would have to work. He thought about his journey to this moment. As a child, Marcus had dreamed of meeting aliens and exploring the galaxy. When first contact happened, he was already studying anthropology in college. He immediately shifted his focus to xenocultural studies, becoming one of the first humans to specialize in alien societies. The work was not always easy. Many humans thought he was wasting his time studying weird alien stuff. But Marcus believed that understanding other species was the key to humanity's future among the stars. Humans were newcomers in a galaxy full of ancient civilizations. They needed to learn and adapt. Now he had the chance to prove that humans could be respectful partners in the galactic community. The Zephyrians were testing him and through him all of humanity. The next morning brought a message from the Zephyrian palace. A transport would arrive in 2 hours to take Marcus to the surface. He dressed carefully in his formal diplomatic uniform, adding the Zephyrian light crystals he had been given as accessories. The crystals would help him communicate basic emotions during the ceremony. Marcus looked at himself in the mirror one final time. He looked nervous but determined. His dark hair was neat, his uniform clean and pressed. The alien crystals looked strange against his human clothing, but they showed his effort to honor Zephyrian customs. He picked up his wooden gift and the small bag containing his ceremonial items. Everything was ready. Marcus had done all he could to prepare for this moment. As he walked toward the shuttle bay, Marcus felt a mix of excitement and fear. He was about to witness something no human had ever seen. The ceremony would be beautiful and meaningful, a window into an ancient civilization's most sacred traditions. He had no idea that he was walking toward the most important day of his life. The ritual of celestial bonding would change everything, though not in any way he could imagine. His careful preparations and respectful intentions were about to lead him into a situation that would test every skill he had learned about cross-cultural communication. The shuttle arrived exactly on time, its crystal hull gleaming in the hangar lights. Marcus took a deep breath and stepped aboard, ready to represent humanity at an alien ceremony that would change his life forever. The crystal transport glided silently through Zephyr Prime's atmosphere. Marcus pressed his face to the window, watching the amazing landscape below. The entire planet seemed to be made of living crystal formations that grew like trees and mountains. Cities sparkled between them, their buildings pulsing with soft light. "First time seeing our world from this view?" asked the Zephyrian pilot. Her skin showed gentle blue patterns, indicating polite curiosity. "Yes," Marcus replied, making sure his own light crystals displayed respectful interest. "It's beautiful beyond words." The pilot's skin shifted to pleased green. "We are proud of our home. The crystals have grown for millions of years, shaped by our ancestors' harmony with the cosmic forces." As they approached the capital city, Marcus saw the royal palace rising from the center like a massive crystal mountain. Its faceted walls caught the sunlight and threw rainbows across the surrounding buildings. Thousands of Zephyrians moved through the crystal streets below, their skin creating moving patterns of color. The transport landed on a platform near the palace's main entrance. Marcus stepped out, immediately feeling the planet's different gravity. It was lighter than Earth, making him feel almost bouncy. He had to concentrate to walk normally. A group of Zephyrian officials waited for him. Their leader was tall even by Zephyrian standards, with deep purple crystals growing from his temples. His skin showed formal gold patterns, "Dr. Chen," the official said in careful English. "I am High Chamberlain Zillith. Welcome to Zephyr Prime. Are you prepared for the ceremony?" Marcus bowed in the Zephyrian style, holding the position for exactly 3 seconds as his research had indicated. "I am honored by this invitation, High Chamberlain. I hope to observe and learn from your sacred traditions." Zillith's skin shifted to approving blue-green. "Your preparation shows proper respect. Come, the ceremony begins soon." They walked through corridors of living crystal that hummed softly with energy. Marcus tried not to stare, but everything was fascinating. The wall seemed to grow and change as they passed, responding to the Zephyrians' presence. The ritual of celestial bonding is our most sacred ceremony, Zelith explained as they walked. It connects worthy individuals to the cosmic forces that guide our civilization. Today, Princess Lyrelai will undergo the ritual. Marcus nodded, though he still did not fully understand what that meant. His research had been unclear about the ceremony's exact purpose. He hoped watching it would help him learn. They entered a vast chamber with a domed ceiling that showed the real sky above. Thousands of Zephyrians filled tiered seating around a central platform. Their combined skin patterns created a shifting sea of colors that took Marcus's breath away. "You will observe from the honor platform," Zelith said, leading Marcus to a raised area near the ceremony space. "Remember, when called upon, respond as your studies have taught you." Before Marcus could ask what that meant, trumpets made of resonating crystal filled the chamber with beautiful music. The crowd's skin patterns synchronized, creating waves of gold and silver light. King Theron entered first, his massive frame covered in royal purple robes. His skin showed deep blue patterns of wisdom and authority. Behind him came Princess Lyrelai, and Marcus had to catch his breath. The princess was stunning even by Zephyrian standards. Her skin was almost transparent, showing the crystal structure beneath. Patterns of pale green and silver moved across her surface like living art. She wore a simple white gown that seemed to be made of woven light. As she passed Marcus's platform, their eyes met for a moment. Lyrelai's skin showed a brief flash of curious orange before returning to ceremonial silver. Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. The ceremony began with ancient chants in the old Zephyrian language. Marcus followed along as best he could, using his translation equipment to understand the basic meaning. They were calling upon cosmic forces to bless worthy bonds between individuals. King Theron spoke about the importance of connecting different energies to create harmony. His words were formal and ritualistic, but Marcus sensed deeper meaning that his equipment could not translate. Then something unexpected happened. High Chamberlain Zelith gestured for Marcus to approach the platform. "The honored observer will now present his offering to the cosmic forces," Zelith announced. Marcus's mind raced. This was not in any of his research, but he could not refuse without causing offense. He walked forward, carrying his wooden sculpture. Standing before the royal family, Marcus performed the formal greeting he had practiced. He held up his gift and spoke in careful Zephyrian. "I offer this symbol of friendship between our peoples, carved by human hands as a bridge between worlds." The crowd murmured in approval. King Theron's skin showed pleased blue patterns, but Princess Lyrelai stepped forward, her skin shifting to interested orange and gold. "May I examine this offering?" she asked in perfect English. Marcus was surprised by her language skills. "Of course, Your Highness." Lyrelai took the wooden sculpture, running her crystal fingers over its smooth surface. Her skin showed amazement as she felt the warm, organic material. "This is beautiful," she said. "The life energy still flows through the wood. How remarkable that humans can create art from living materials without destroying their essence." She looked directly at Marcus, her skin now showing complex patterns he could not read. "Would you explain the meaning behind your creation?" Marcus felt every eye in the chamber on him. The two figures represent different species reaching across the gap between them. "I believe understanding comes when we extend ourselves toward others, even when they are very different from us." Lyrelai's skin shifted to what Marcus hoped was approval. She held the sculpture up for all to see. "This human shows wisdom beyond his years. His gift demonstrates the very harmony we seek in the celestial bonding." The crowd's response was overwhelmingly positive. Waves of green and gold light moved through the assembled Zephyrians. Marcus felt relieved that his gift had been well received. But then Princess Lyrelai did something that changed everything. She placed the wooden sculpture on the ceremonial altar and took Marcus's hands in hers. "By accepting this offering given with pure intent," she said in the ancient Zephyrian language, "I bind my cosmic energy to his, creating harmony between our souls." The chamber erupted. Every Zephyrian present began flashing brilliant colors as they stood and cheered. Crystal formations around the room resonated with musical tones. Even King Theron was showing excited golden patterns. Marcus stood frozen, still holding Lyrelai's hands. He had no idea what had just happened, but the crowd's reaction suggested it was significant. High Chamberlain Zillith approached with his skin showing deep red alarm mixed with shocked blue. He spoke rapidly in Zephyrian to the princess, too fast for Marcus's equipment to translate. Lyrelei responded calmly, her skin showing confident silver. She turned to Marcus, who must have looked completely confused. "Dr. Chen," she said gently, "I believe there has been a misunderstanding about the nature of this ceremony." "What kind of misunderstanding?" Marcus asked, though he was beginning to fear the answer. King Theron stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "The ritual of celestial bonding is our marriage ceremony, Dr. Chen. By accepting your offering and speaking the ancient words, my daughter has just married you according to our most sacred laws." The chamber fell silent except for the soft humming of the crystal walls. Marcus felt his knees go weak. He looked at Princess Lyrelei, who was watching him with gentle concern. "I'm sorry," Marcus managed to say. "I didn't know. I thought I was just presenting a diplomatic gift." "The fault is ours," King Theron said, his skin showing regretful blue. "We assumed you understood the ceremony's purpose. The translation of celestial bonding does not capture the full meaning in your language." Lyrelei squeezed Marcus's hands gently. "The question now is what we do about this situation. Our laws are very old and very strict about the marriage ritual." Marcus looked around at thousands of watching Zephyrians. His mind struggled to process what had happened. He had come to observe a ceremony and accidentally married an alien princess. The weight of the situation hit him. This was not just about him anymore. The marriage between a human and the Zephyrian princess could change relations between their species forever. "What are our options?" he asked quietly. King Theron and Lyrelei exchanged glances. The king's skin showed thoughtful patterns as he considered. "That," King Theron said finally, "is something we must discuss very carefully." Marcus sat in a private chamber deep within the Crystal Palace, his head in his hands. The events of the ceremony felt like a dream, but the worried faces around him proved it was very real. King Theron, Princess Lyrelei, High Chamberlain Zillith, and several other officials filled the room, all discussing his situation in rapid Zephyrian. "Please," Marcus finally said, looking up. "I need to understand exactly what happened and what it means." King Theron's skin shifted to sympathetic blue as he turned to Marcus. "You have accidentally completed our most sacred marriage ritual. In Zephyrian law, this creates a true and binding union between you and my daughter." "But it was a mistake," Marcus protested. "I didn't know what I was doing." "Intent matters in our law," Lyrelei said gently, "but so does the completion of the ritual itself. The cosmic forces do not recognize accidents." High Chamberlain Zillith stepped forward, his skin showing deep concern. "There are only two possibilities under our ancient laws. The marriage can be honored, or it can be dissolved through the ritual of cosmic separation." "What does that involve?" Marcus asked. The room fell silent. Zillith's skin turned darker. "The ritual of cosmic separation requires the rejection of the marriage bond before our people and the Federation. It would be seen as a grave insult to our culture and traditions." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "What kind of consequences are we talking about?" King Theron spoke carefully. "It could damage relations between our species for generations. Many Zephyrians would see it as proof that humans do not respect our most sacred customs. But if I stay married to your daughter, won't that create other problems?" Lyrelei leaned forward, her skin showing thoughtful silver patterns. "Not necessarily. Our marriage customs are quite different from human ones. Perhaps you should understand what Zephyrian marriage actually means before making a decision." Over the next several hours, Lyrelei and her father explained Zephyrian marriage traditions. Marcus learned that their unions were based on intellectual and spiritual compatibility, rather than just romantic love. Married partners shared their knowledge, worked together on important projects, and helped each other grow as individuals. "Physical attraction exists," Lyrelei explained, "but it is secondary to mental harmony. We believe that two minds working together can achieve far more than either could alone." The most shocking revelation was the mind-meld connection that married Zephyrians shared. Through crystal technology and mental training, they could share thoughts, memories, and emotions directly. "It's not constant," Lyrelei assured him, seeing his worried expression. "Partners choose when to connect and what to share. It creates understanding but preserves individual identity." Marcus was quiet for a long time, processing this information. Finally, he asked, Why did you choose to complete the ritual with me? You must have known I didn't understand what was happening. Lyralay's skin showed complex patterns of orange and silver. I have been studying human culture for years, Dr. Chen. Your species fascinates me. Humans adapt to situations that would destroy other species. You find creative solutions where others see only problems. But you don't know me personally. I know your work, she replied. Your research on cross-cultural communication, your diplomatic successes, your genuine respect for other species. These things tell me about your character. King Theron interrupted their conversation. There is something else you should know. Our empire faces a serious crisis that traditional solutions cannot solve. Perhaps this marriage was guided by cosmic forces for a purpose. The king explained that Zephyrian crystal cities were slowly dying. For the past 50 years, the living crystals that formed their civilization had been losing energy and growing dim. Scientists and mystics had tried everything, but the decay continued. If we cannot find a solution soon, King Theron said sadly, our civilization will crumble within a few generations. Marcus felt a spark of interest despite his complicated situation. What kind of symptoms are you seeing? Lyralay's skin brightened with excitement. The crystals are losing their ability to process and store information. They become sluggish and eventually stop growing entirely. Have you considered outside factors? Environmental changes, energy interference, overload problems? Overload? Zilith asked. What do you mean? Marcus began pacing as his scientific mind engaged with the problem. You said the crystals process and store information. What if they're handling more data than they were designed for? Human computer systems fail when they get overloaded with too much information. The Zephyrians exchanged glances. Lyralay's skin showed growing excitement. Our empire has expanded greatly in recent centuries, she said thoughtfully. Each crystal city must now manage communications and data from across the galaxy. Exactly, Marcus said, warming to the subject. In human systems, we solve overload problems through network distribution. Instead of one computer handling everything, we spread the work across multiple connected systems. King Theron looked confused. But each crystal city is an individual consciousness. How can you distribute consciousness? You don't distribute consciousness, Marcus explained. You distribute the workload. The cities stay individual, but they share the processing tasks. For the first time since the ceremony, Marcus felt useful instead of overwhelmed. This was the kind of problem he understood how to approach. It required fresh thinking and different perspectives. Would you be willing to study our crystal cities? Lyralee asked. Your human viewpoint might reveal solutions we cannot see. Marcus realized this could be his way forward. Whether the marriage was real or not, he could contribute something valuable to Zephyrian society. It would show that humans were worth having as allies. I would be honored to help, he said, but I need to be honest about our situation. I don't know if I can be a real husband to you, princess. Our species are so different. Lyralay's skin showed gentle green patterns. Perhaps we could start as research partners and see what develops. Marriage among my people often begins with shared work and grows into deeper connection over time. You would be willing to try that? I proposed to you for a reason, Dr. Chen. Even if it was accidental, I believe we could work well together. Your mind approaches problems differently than any Zephyrian's. King Theron stood up, his skin showing decisive gold patterns. Then it is settled. You will remain married to my daughter, study our crystal crisis, and help us find a solution. In return, this alliance will strengthen relations between our species. Marcus felt both relief and terror. He was committed now to making this impossible situation work, but looking at Lyralay's encouraging expression, he began to think it might actually be possible. There is one more thing, Lyralay said quietly. If we are to work together effectively, we should attempt the mind meld connection. It will help us understand each other's thoughts and methods. Is it safe for humans? I believe so. Your neural patterns are similar enough to ours that the crystal interface should work, but there are no guarantees. Marcus thought about everything that had led to this moment. His accidental marriage, the dying crystal cities, the chance to prove humanity's worth to the galaxy. All of it came down to whether he was willing to take another leap into the unknown. When do we start? He asked. Lyralay's skin blazed with happy golden light. Tomorrow we begin studying the crystal matrix. Tonight we prepare for our first mind meld. As the meeting ended and the officials filed out, Marcus realized his life had changed completely in just one day. He was married to an alien princess, committed to solving an impossible problem. and about to attempt a mental connection no human had ever tried. But for the first time since the ceremony, he felt excited rather than terrified. This was what he had always dreamed of, using his skills to build bridges between species and help solve problems that seemed impossible. He looked at Lirelai, who was gathering crystal tablets containing technical data about their cities. She caught his gaze and smiled, an expression that looked surprisingly human despite her alien features. Maybe this accidental marriage could become something real after all. Marcus woke up in chambers that felt like sleeping inside a giant gem. Crystalline walls caught the morning light and scattered rainbows across the room. He had spent his first night in the palace learning to sleep on a Zephyrian rest platform that adjusted to his body temperature and breathing patterns. Today would bring his first mind meld with Lirelai. The thought both excited and terrified him. No human had ever attempted such a connection with an alien mind. A soft chime announced someone at his door. Marcus opened it to find Lirelai carrying a tray of what looked like liquid light in crystal cups. "Good morning, husband," she said with a slight smile. "I brought nourishment for our work today." The word husband still felt strange, but Marcus was getting used to it. "Good morning, wife. What exactly am I drinking?" "Essence of starflower, mixed with nutrients your human body needs. I studied your dietary requirements extensively." Marcus tasted the drink. It was surprisingly good, with flavors like honey and cinnamon. "You've been planning this for a while, haven't you?" Lirelai's skin showed guilty orange patches. "I may have requested your presence at the ceremony specifically. When I learned you were coming to our world, I saw an opportunity to meet the human who wrote such insightful papers on cross-species cooperation." "So this wasn't completely accidental?" "Your participation was accidental. My interest in you was not." She sat down on a crystal chair that formed itself from the floor. "I have studied many species, Marcus, but humans fascinate me most. You adapt to anything, solve problems others cannot even see, and build connections across impossible barriers." Marcus felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the strange drink. "I'm still not sure I can be the husband you deserve." "Let us find out together," she said gently. "But first we have work to do." They spent the morning preparing for the mind meld. Lirelai explained that the process used crystal technology to create a temporary bridge between their consciousness. It would allow them to share thoughts, memories, and understanding directly. "The key is trust," she said as she adjusted a headpiece made of delicate crystal threads. "You must open your mind completely and trust me not to harm your thoughts." "What will you see?" "Whatever you choose to share. The connection amplifies existing trust and understanding. If you hold back, the meld will be limited." Marcus put on his own crystal headpiece. It felt warm against his skin and seemed to respond to his heartbeat. "What if our minds are too different? What if it doesn't work?" Then we learn something valuable about the limits of cross-species connection. Science advances through both success and failure. Lirelai activated the crystal interface. Marcus felt a strange tingling sensation as energy flowed through the headpiece. Then suddenly he could sense another presence in his mind. The first sensation was pure alienness. Lirelai's thought patterns were different from anything human, moving in crystalline structures rather than the flowing streams Marcus was used to. But underneath the strangeness, he felt her curiosity, her intelligence, and her genuine care for him. Then images began flowing between them. Marcus saw himself through Lirelai's eyes, his nervousness during the ceremony, his genuine desire to understand her culture, his excitement when faced with the Crystal City problem. She had been watching him carefully, impressed by his reactions. In return, Marcus shared his memories of studying alien cultures, his fascination with the diversity of life in the galaxy, and his growing attraction to her brilliant mind. He let her see his fears about their marriage and his determination to make it work. The exchange deepened. Lirelai showed him technical details about the crystal cities that no translation could have conveyed. He experienced directly how the crystals lived and grew, how they processed information through quantum resonance patterns, and how they were slowly dying as their energy faded. Marcus shared his understanding of human network systems, computer architecture, and information flow management. Lirelai experienced human problem-solving methods directly, seeing how his mind approached challenges through systematic analysis and creative leaps. When they disconnected an hour later, both were exhausted but exhilarated. "Remarkable," Lirelai breathed, her skin showing amazed silver patterns. "Your mind works so differently, but I could follow your thinking processes. You see connections that would never occur to a Zephyrian. And I understand your crystal cities in ways I never could through explanation alone, Marcus replied. They're not just biological computers, they're living entities that grow and adapt. Yes. And that's exactly the problem. We have been treating them as individuals when they need to function as a network. They spent the next several days visiting dying crystal cities across the planet. Each location showed the same symptoms: dimming light, sluggish responses, and gradual shutdown of higher functions. The crystals were literally thinking themselves to death trying to handle too much information. Marcus applied human engineering principles to understand the problem. He mapped data flows, identified bottlenecks, and calculated processing loads. Meanwhile, Lyrelei provided deep insight into crystal biology and consciousness patterns. Look at this, Marcus said on their third day, showing Lyrelei a holographic diagram. Each city is trying to maintain direct connections with every other city in the Empire. The communication overhead alone is overwhelming their capacity. But that's how we've always done it, Lyrelei said. Each crystal consciousness must be able to speak with every other. They can still communicate, but not all at once. In human networks, we use routing protocols. Messages pass through intermediate nodes to reach their destination. The individual computers don't all have to be directly connected. Lyrelei studied the diagram, her skin showing rapid color changes as she processed the concept. You're suggesting we change fundamental aspects of how our cities communicate. I'm suggesting we add new capabilities without removing old ones. The cities could maintain their individual consciousness while participating in a distributed processing network. Show me. Marcus spent hours explaining network topology, packet routing, and load balancing. Lyrelei absorbed every concept, asking questions that pushed his understanding to new levels. Her alien perspective forced him to reconsider assumptions he had never questioned. The challenge, Marcus said finally, is implementing this without damaging the city's existing consciousness patterns. Actually, Lyrelei said thoughtfully, I think the crystals might adapt naturally if we give them the right framework. They are living systems that respond to environmental pressures. What do you mean? We could create connection crystals, smaller entities designed specifically for networking. The cities could interface with these intermediary crystals without changing their own core functions. Marcus felt excitement building. Like network routers made of living crystal? Exactly. The routing crystals would handle communication overhead, leaving the city crystals free to focus on their primary functions. They worked through the night, designing a prototype system. Marcus contributed network architecture principles while Lyrelei handled the biological engineering aspects. Their mind-meld connection made the collaboration incredibly efficient. They could share complex concepts instantly without the barriers of language. By morning, they had a working design for a crystal network node that could route information between cities, while maintaining the consciousness independence that Zephyrian culture required. We need to test this, Lyrelei said, her skin glowing with excitement. If it works, we could save our entire civilization. And if it doesn't work, then we keep trying. That's what humans do, isn't it? You never give up when faced with an impossible problem. Marcus realized she was right. Somewhere during their collaboration, he had stopped thinking like a diplomat, trying to avoid mistakes, and started thinking like a human scientist facing an interesting challenge. Let's build a prototype, he said. King Theron was skeptical when they presented their plan. Most of the Royal Council seemed horrified at the idea of changing ancient crystal consciousness patterns. This is unprecedented, High Chamberlain Zealeth said. We cannot risk damaging our cities based on alien theories. With respect, Marcus replied, your cities are already dying using traditional methods. Sometimes you have to risk change to avoid certain failure. Lyrelei supported him completely. Dr. Chen's approach offers hope where we had none. His human perspective shows us possibilities we cannot see ourselves. After much debate, King Theron agreed to let them test the prototype on a small, already failing crystal formation outside the capital. If the experiment worked, they could expand it. If it failed, they would lose nothing that wasn't already dying. Marcus and Lyrelei spent the next week growing their prototype network crystal. The process combined Zephyrian biocrystal cultivation with human engineering principles. Marcus was amazed to watch Lyrelei coax the crystal to grow in specific patterns that would optimize information flow. When they finally connected their prototype to the dying crystal formation, the results were immediate and dramatic. The old crystal began glowing brighter as processing load shifted to the network node. Information flowed more efficiently than it had in decades. "It works," Lorelei whispered, her skin blazing with joy. "Marcus, it actually works." As word spread about their success, Marcus realized they had done more than solve a technical problem. 6 months after the prototype's success, Marcus stood before the Galactic Federation Council in the Great Assembly Hall on Centauri Prime. Representatives from dozens of species filled the massive chamber, all waiting to hear about the miracle that had saved Zephyrian civilization. "The Crystal Network project succeeded beyond all expectations," Marcus reported to the assembled delegates. "Not only have we stopped the decay, but the cities are now more efficient and connected than ever before." In the audience, Lorelei watched with pride as her husband addressed the galaxy's most powerful leaders. Her skin showed steady silver patterns of confidence and deep blue patterns of affection. Marcus had grown tremendously since their accidental wedding, becoming a skilled diplomat and engineer. The Zephyrian crystal cities now hummed with renewed life. The network protocol they had developed allowed each city to maintain its individual consciousness while participating in a galaxy-wide information grid. Cities that had been dying 6 months ago were now growing new formations and taking on expanded roles. The key breakthrough, Marcus continued, was recognizing that the problem required both human and Zephyrian perspectives. Neither species could have solved it alone. After the presentation, dozens of alien ambassadors approached Marcus and Lorelei. Everyone wanted to know more about human problem-solving methods and how they could apply similar approaches to their own challenges. "Dr. Chen," said Ambassador Vex of the Crystalline Collective, "my people face similar network overload issues with our hive mind colonies. Could human techniques help us as well? The aquatic republics have communication problems across deep ocean distances," added another delegate. "We would be honored to work with human engineers." Marcus and Lorelei exchanged glances. This was bigger than just saving one civilization. They had proven that human adaptability could solve problems throughout the galaxy. "We would be happy to establish an institute for cross-species collaboration," Lorelei said. "Combining different perspectives often reveals solutions that no single species could discover." Over the following weeks, requests poured in from across the galaxy. The insectoid swarms wanted help optimizing their hive efficiency. The gas giant dwellers needed assistance with atmospheric processing networks. Even the ancient silicon-based entities sought human input on their quantum consciousness problems. Marcus found himself at the center of a new movement in galactic cooperation. Humans were no longer seen as primitive newcomers, but as valuable partners who brought unique problem-solving abilities to any challenge. The work was demanding but incredibly rewarding. Marcus and Lorelei traveled to dozens of worlds, studying alien technologies and proposing human-inspired solutions. Their marriage had become a true partnership in every sense, combining their different strengths to achieve amazing results. "You've changed the galaxy's perception of humanity in less than a year," Ambassador Williams told Marcus during a visit to Earth. "Every species now wants human consultants for their difficult problems." "It's not just about humans being special," Marcus replied. "It's about what happens when different minds work together. Lorelei contributes as much to our success as I do." "Speaking of Lorelei, how is married life treating you?" Marcus smiled, thinking of his wife who was currently in their quarters studying quantum mathematics with a team of silicon entity researchers. "Better than I ever imagined. We understand each other in ways I didn't think possible between different species." The mind meld connection they shared had deepened over the months. They could communicate complex technical concepts instantly, share emotional support during difficult projects, and work together with perfect coordination. But they had also maintained their individual identities and interests. "Are you happy, Marcus?" Williams asked. "Really happy? Not just professionally successful, but personally fulfilled?" Marcus considered the question carefully. A year ago, he had been a single academic focused entirely on his research. Now he was married to an alien princess, traveling the galaxy solving impossible problems and building bridges between species that had never cooperated before. "Yes," he said finally, "I'm happier than I ever thought possible." That evening, Marcus and Lorelei walked through the Earth colony ship's observation deck, looking out at the stars. They had just accepted an invitation to establish the first interspecies technical institute on a neutral world near the galactic core. Are you ready for that kind of responsibility? Lyrelay asked, her skin showing curious orange patterns. With you as my partner, I think we can handle anything. She took his hand, her crystal skin warm against his flesh. I have been thinking about our future together. There are possibilities we have not discussed. What kind of possibilities? Children, she said quietly. Medical advances now make it possible for different species to have offspring together. The Federation has developed techniques for combining genetic material across biological barriers. Marcus felt his heart skip. He had not dared to hope for that possibility. Would you want that? Children who are part human and part Zephyrian? I think they would be amazing, Lyrelay said, her skin glowing with soft gold patterns. Imagine minds that combine human adaptability with Zephyrian harmony. They could bridge gaps we cannot even see yet. They would certainly be unique, Marcus agreed. The first truly interspecies generation. Think of the problems they could solve, the connections they could make. Our children could help create a galaxy where species differences are seen as strengths rather than barriers. Marcus pulled Lyrelay closer, marveling again at how right this felt despite their completely different origins. Our accidental marriage has become something I wouldn't trade for anything. Not so accidental, she admitted with a smile. I may have guided events more than you realize. You planned the whole thing? Not the whole thing. But I researched you extensively before requesting your presence at the ceremony. I hoped we might become research partners at minimum. And now I cannot imagine my life without you. You challenge my thinking, support my dreams, and show me new ways to see the universe. That is what true partnership means. As they stood together watching the stars, Marcus reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. His careful academic life had been completely overturned by a single misunderstood ceremony. But that accident had led to the most meaningful work and deepest relationship of his life. The Interspecies Technical Institute would officially open in 3 months. They already had applications from hundreds of the galaxy's brightest minds, all eager to learn cross-species collaboration techniques. Human, Zephyrian, and dozens of other species would work together on problems that had seemed impossible to solve. Do you think we can really change how the galaxy approaches cooperation? Marcus asked. We already have, Lyrelay replied. 6 months ago, most species worked in isolation. Now they actively seek outside perspectives for their challenges. That change in thinking will transform civilization. Marcus thought about all the projects they had lined up. Water purification systems for desert worlds using human desalination technology, adapted with alien biofilters. Communication networks spanning entire star systems using hybrid organic digital protocols. Terraforming techniques that combined human engineering with alien environmental harmony. The funny thing is, he said, I came to your ceremony hoping to observe and learn about Zephyrian culture. Instead, I ended up teaching the galaxy about human culture. You taught us that diversity is strength, Lyrelay said. That different perspectives make everyone stronger. That barriers between species are often just failures of imagination. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Lyrelay checked her communication crystal, then showed Marcus the contents. It was an invitation from the Federation Council to present their collaboration model to the entire galaxy during the Grand Assembly. They want us to address representatives from every known species, she said, to share what we've learned about cross-species cooperation. Marcus felt a moment of the old nervousness he used to experience before diplomatic events, but now it was mixed with excitement and confidence. He was no longer the careful academic trying not to make mistakes. He was part of something bigger and more important than he had ever imagined. When do we leave? He asked next week. Are you ready to tell the entire galaxy that humans have something valuable to contribute? Marcus looked at his wife, his partner, his best friend. Together, they had solved impossible problems, built bridges across species barriers, and created a new model for galactic cooperation. Their accidental marriage had become the foundation for changing how civilizations work together. With you beside me, he said, I'm ready for anything. As their ship prepared to jump to hyperspace toward the Galactic Assembly, Marcus realized his childhood dream of exploring the galaxy and meeting alien species had come true in ways he never could have imagined. He had not just met aliens, he had married one, saved a civilization, and helped create a new era of cooperation between species. The human who had accidentally married an alien princess was about to address the galaxy about the power of bringing different minds together. and somewhere in the future there had proven that HFY